things that my parents did to me because they were fat phobic.
Hello there. Welcome back. In today's video, we'll look at some of the most common actions that we all engage in on a regular basis. Fat activists, on the other hand, view the same behaviors as insulting or even as a demonstration of revulsion and hatred for overweight individuals. Before we start, I'd really appreciate it if at the end of the video you would leave a comment and subscribe to my channel.
As a kid, I always had to ask to eat anything. And yeah, when you're a kid that makes sense. But I am 23 years old and I still feel that way.
If you still have to ask your parents for permission to eat every time, based on your appearance, my first impression was that they were not very strict and allowed you to eat too much. If you have to ask permission to eat food purchased by your parents, you could go to work and buy the food you want without having to ask them. I figured out where you're attempting to go. My parents forbade me from eating too much junk when I was a kid, and now I'm traumatized. Your parents did it to teach you about food and how to eat in moderation. If you still feel the need to ask her permission to eat, demonstrate why you've developed a behavior that limits your overeating based on your parents' permission. However, when you are not with them, you do not know how to regulate and, as a result, you overeat.
My parents have 3 bags of Halloween candy on the dining room table, and I asked my mom, can I open this bag of Kit Kats? And she said no. So I didn't.
You mentioned that the chocolates on the table were for Halloween. As a result, they had to be given to children, not to a 23-year-old woman like you. This isn't fat discrimination. You just don't understand why you can't open and eat them all. They weren't purchased specifically for you. Also, you can go out and buy them. The fact that anything that isn't as they want, for these people, is considered discrimination, and the worst part is that they make a video in which they themselves denigrate their parents, in this case, simply because they do not allow them to eat the chocolate.
If you look at a fat person and then you assume they don't work out, that's fat phobic.
Marissa, everyone automatically associates being overweight with not exercising. But first, let me define the term train. Training is defined as exercising for at least an hour without counting breaks, with weights, cardio, or a combination of the two at least 3 times per week. If an overweight person trained 3 times a week for an hour, he or she would almost certainly lose weight, especially if they were in an advanced stage of obesity. No offense, but saying you walk your dog for 15 minutes and up 2 flights of stairs does not qualify as training. They are activities that are extremely beneficial. Continue to do so. However, do not confuse training with light activity.
Look at a fat person and you assume they don't eat healthy? That's fat phobia.
Marissa, if you see this video one day, please tell me how you got to your weight at the time of the video. You should begin to accept reality. To gain 1 pound, you must consume 3,500 kcal more per week than your weekly quota. And, in order to consume 500 kilocalories more per day, you must consume a lot of vegetables and fruits. To put it another way, 1 pound of spinach contains 112 calories. As a result, the theory that we eat healthy even if we are overweight fails. No one denies that you eat fruits and vegetables, but you have abused food, particularly junk food, to get to that point. And the excuse, I'm fat because I have health problems, or I'm on medication, is not enough. No one gets to your size, Marissa, for these reasons alone.
I can't think.
The song in the background is, You Want Me? No, but for copyright reasons, one had to remove it. Explained that, I don't understand this nastiness with people who are literally complimenting you. I, too, want your confidence. I am neither fat or thin, and my weight is regular. This isn't to say I'm not ashamed of myself. I've never been to the beach or a pool in bikini in my entire life because I'm self-conscious about my legs, despite the fact that I'm not overweight. So, instead of taking a genuine and pure compliment as an offense, remember that confidence does not go according to weight or physical appearance, but rather according to personality. You don't have to interpret everything as an attack on yourself. Try to put yourself in the shoes of others from time to time. As a result, you can empathize with those around. Fat phobia is rooted in racism. Fat phobia and racism are not the same though. I never say that. Marissa, I believe I have already invited you to write to me privately and have an adult conversation, because I am very curious about how you happened to come to this conclusion. A person who is unable to change the color of his skin or hair, who was born or became disabled, who has difficulty speaking, who is homosexual, and is teased, denigrated, or even persecuted solely because he was born different from the so-called normalcy imposed by society. It does not appear to me to be the same as being teased about something that can be changed. In fact, you mentioned that it originates from racism, which is incorrect. So, as I explained previously, racism is hatred for another person solely because she was born with a particular characteristic. People are not born chubby. People gain weight. It's pointless to try to compare a massive human problem like intolerance of others simply because you don't like the comments you get on TikTok accusing yourself of not eating well. Because it is completely right. Accept the fact that in order to weigh 300 pounds, you must eat poorly all of the time. You should not allow yourself or anyone else involved in the fat acceptance movement to compare laziness and poor nutrition to a problem that has marked history in a sad and cruel way more than once. And don't think it's because of racism. Racism has existed since the beginning of time, and I'm willing to bet there was no problem with overeating.
That fat people do, that skinny people think is weird, but it's normal to us.
I suppose so, but if I'm mistaken, please let me know in the comments if the lady in the video used her boobs to pull up her shirt. It's intriguing, but I'm not sure what the point is. So let me end this video with a question. What good is it to lift your shirt like that? Please let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.